Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today we're going to talk about this lovely thread chart that I got myself for Christmas. Stay tuned. So before we get into it, I just want to say that this video is not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by Gutermann or Wallwack or anything. I got myself this Gutermann Thread Chart from wallwack.com as a little to me Christmas gift, and I really am liking it, and I wanted to show it to you guys in case you've ever seen these and wondered about them, all the details. I will share as much as I know so far, so I hope you find it helpful. So what this is a thread chart showing 700 of the Gutermann thread colors. It's kind of, it folds out like an accordion, and because it's the 700 color chart, it's really big. I can't fit the whole thing into the video screen. They also make a 400 color one, but the difference in price was about $3 or $4, so I went ahead and got the 700 color one. And I did order this from wallwack.com, and I'll put a link to them and to the thread chart below in case you're interested. Before I ordered this, I did look into all the different types of thread that Gutermann makes, because I wanted to make sure that what this chart reflected was just the standard all-purpose thread, like the kind that you get at Joann's or any other kind of sewing place. And it was a little bit of a maze trying to navigate all the different types of threads out there. And what it boiled down to, at least in my understanding, was that the thread that you can get from Wallwack, from Gutermann, is called Mara, and it comes in different weights, like Mara 100, Mara 30, and so forth. And each one of those is geared towards a specific purpose. And no matter which of the types of Mara, Gutermann Mara thread you get, the colors and color numbers are the same from what I understand. They kind of run across the board. And it looks as though the Gutermann Mara 100 is the equivalent to the all-purpose or the Gutermann Sew All that you can find in like fabric store. At least that's how I understand it. There was so much information out there and it got a little bit confusing, but I think that that's what it comes down to. And according to the frequently asked questions on Wallwack's site, they do carry a large number. How did they answer? I think they may not necessarily carry all 700 colors, but they do carry a very large selection of the Gutermann colors. Probably any color that I could choose to work with in my little meager sewing here, they probably have it. One other thing that they have to make using this chart a little bit more helpful is a conversion chart on their site. So for instance, the thread color number in here is not necessarily going to equate to the same color in a retail setting, but they do have a conversion chart, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. I'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons. So the pros are that you can choose your thread color very conveniently at home, and then you can order it from Wallwack's site, and the cost is a lot. You get a lot more value for your money if you order it from Wallwack. And I'll do a little bit of a cost breakdown here in a moment that might help illustrate that a little bit better. The cost savings of purchasing the thread is definitely the biggest benefit of using the thread chart in combination with ordering the thread online from a wholesale retailer such as Wallwack. And some of the cons, so it's not all roses, there are a couple of cons, and for me the biggest drawback to using that system, the thread chart, and ordering online would be that you have to wait. So in many cases, for those of us that have a Joann's really close to us, or any other store, like a brick and mortar store that carries Gutermann thread, I know some of the quilt stores carry it, at least here in my area, it might be a lot quicker and easier just to run down to Joann's to pick up the thread that you need. So this does mean if you're going to order it online, you need to do a little bit of planning ahead, knowing what projects you're going to be working on to make sure that you have ordered your thread and it's ready for you when you need it. I've ordered from Wallwack a couple of times in the past, not thread, but a couple of other incidental sewing supplies. And it seems like they did ship pretty quickly. I couldn't put a figure to it because I just don't remember like exactly how many days, but I don't recall having to wait a long time. But still, there will be some waiting involved. And then the other con or drawback to this is that and this may not be a drawback, but it may be depending. So the spools are really large. Looking at them on Wallwack's website, they look a lot larger than a spool of thread that you would get at Joann's. As far as you definitely more yardage, but the physical size of the thing, it's going to take up a lot more space. So if that's a consideration for you, you might want to take that into account. You may not want or need a big honking spool of thread, or much less many big honking spools of thread in your sewing room. It could come in handy though for the very colors that you use most often, such as white, black, maybe gray, beige, tan, those ones that are the ubiquitous colors that we all seem to use all the time. So you could save some money there by buying the larger spools in that regard. Otherwise, they're pretty big and they may take up a lot of space. Also too, I'm not sure if this could be a factor, but you would want to make sure that the spools that your machine would accommodate that larger size of spool. I would think that most of them probably would, but maybe some of the smaller machines you could be limited on what size of a spool would fit on your machine. So take that into consideration too. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at the chart itself. I've got it opened up to full length here, and it's crazy the number of colors that are here. I mean, that's a lot of colors. And at the very end here, there are a few fluorescent colors. So the color number that's listed next to each color here, that is the Wallwack color number. And they do make a conversion chart. So say you found like your perfect color using this chart, but you decided that you wanted to go ahead and go up to your local retail store to purchase it. There is a conversion number chart available on Wallwack's website, which we'll take a look at here in just a moment. And I find it helpful that these pop right out. And let's take you in a little bit closer here. So this little bar here with all the colors on it, that's actually made out of thread, fabric. Like this part here with the number is just paper, cardboard. But this part with the colors on it is actually, it's actually like a fabric that's made out of the actual color of thread that it's representing. And then they pop right back in here. And the folder itself just folds up like an accordion. And this is pretty thick. I was worried that when I saw this online, it looked pretty cool, but I was worried that it might be a little flimsy, but it's really not. It's very, very sturdy and well made. Even on the back side of it, there's all kinds of information that they provide. Then they give a lot of different information on the types of Gutermann thread. And I've kind of, I haven't looked too closely at this. As I mentioned, I really spent a lot of time looking online to try and understand about the different types of Gutermann thread. There's so much information here, probably more than I would ever, need to know. So going on to Wallwack's website, and by the way, if you've never used Wallwack, they have all kinds of sewing related items, thread, zippers, so garment construction. These are the categories that they have. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by Wallwack or Gutermann. I just have used Wallwack for a couple of things here and there, but they have a lot of supplies here, and the prices are really, really good. So when I searched on Thread Chart, it shows the Gutermann 400 color and the Gutermann 700 color. And if we click on the 700 color, it shows the price. If you just order one of them, it's $29.50. And scrolling down for additional information, here is the retail number conversion chart. So we'll take a look at that really quickly. So this shows, this is for 304 colors. So it shows the retail color number compared to, I guess IND stands for industry or industrial thread color number. So if you found a color using the thread chart, but you just wanted to go ahead and purchase it in your retail store, you could match up the numbers here and then go to your local sewing supply store and purchase it. So I think that that's really helpful. They also have a thread size conversion chart. This gets really technical, and a lot of it, I think I'd have to spend quite a bit of time learning about to really understand it. So I don't feel really capable of speaking to this very much, but they do provide this information. They also have a digital color chart. So you might find that this is just helpful enough, although I think having the actual thread in hand, whether it's on that color strip or in the store, is probably better, because colors can get distorted or altered on an electronic device. They also provide a thread guide. So this I think is very helpful. So it tells you, if we look at this column here, name, and if you choose, like say you're interested in the Mara 100, it'll tell you what it's used for. So it says it's the most popular all-purpose thread, home textiles, leisure wear, menswear, and women's wear, and so forth. So you could, like the Mara 70, buttonholes, handbags, leather goods. It looks like it's a little more heavy duty. Mara 50, bags, backpacks. Again, this looks like it's more of a heavy duty thread, upholstery. So I think that this chart here is very, very useful. It also tells you what it's made of and what needle size to use with that particular thread. So I'm just learning all kinds of stuff about thread, specifically Gutermann thread, more than I ever thought I would care to learn. But they have a lot of different types of thread, more than just what most of us may be familiar with from going into the retail store. And then lastly, they provide a text to machine needle size. So the text size refers to the thread itself. So the Gutermann, the Mara 100 has a text 30, so then it tells you that you would use a size 80/12 needle with that thread. Of course, I think you also want to choose your needle based on the type of fabric that you're using too. So regarding price, just to do a little quick comparison, I went ahead and added one spool of the Gutermann Mara 100. Oh, and it is the Mara 100. It's a polyester thread, 100% polyester. So I added one spool, which is 1,093 yards, to my cart. And their Wallwack standard price is $3.05 US. And with that in my cart, and then counting shipping and tax, it comes out to be $9.61 US. So you might wonder, well, is it still a better value? So I did a little bit of math here, and including the shipping costs and tax for my area, this spool of 1,093 yards divided by the $9.61 total price, it turns out that you would get approximately 114 yards per dollar. So compare that to the Gutermann thread that you might find at Joann's. I keep using Joann's just because that is our common retail store in my area, and I think it may be like one, besides Hobby Lobby, it may be one of the very few places we can get fabric and sewing supplies here. So if we look over at Joann's, it's taking a minute. So this is looking at the Gutermann Sew All, which I believe is the equivalent to the Mara 100. And it looks like it's on sale here. So if we, for 110 yards divided by the sale price, you get 63 yards per dollar. That's compared to the 113, I think it was, yards per dollar at Wallach, even counting shipping costs. So it still looks to be a better value even when you include shipping costs. I found that to be interesting because that's one of the questions that I had. Well, is it still going to be better by the time you add almost $6 of shipping onto the thing? And even just buying the one spool, it looks like you're still getting a really good deal. So once again, I promise this is not an ad for Gutermann or Wallach. Just trying to provide some helpful information. If you've ever seen that thread chart and wondered if it was worth it, or wondered if it would be cost effective truly in the end if you ordered the larger spools from an online wholesale retailer using the thread chart, that maybe having this information could help you make that decision. So if any of you have ever ordered some of those spools from Wallach, I would love to hear what you thought about it, and if it's more thread than you would ever go through in your whole lifetime, and like, why did I order such a big spool of thread? Or if you found it to be valuable. So I hope you found this helpful in case you were wondering what this thread chart was actually like. Maybe you found this helpful. And until next time, bye.